skillfully. Does that make sense? So we could imagine then maybe in the realities of impermanence, insubstantiality, these are the words used in the suttas, right? In the unreliability of this mind body, right? Can't count on it, really. And it's a big mistake if you do, beyond the present moment, the moment you're in, and your awareness about it. Because of its impermanence, unreliability, insubstantiality, and the fact that you do not possess it, you do not own it, we don't get rid of it, or we understand those factors well. Why? The tendency is to grab then impermanence, insubstantiality, and use it as a protection, to use it as a buffer, and to use it to move towards what we call indifference, which is meh, doesn't matter anyway. I'm not going to get to keep it. It's not permanent. Right? It's going to just dissolve over time through aging, illness, and death. So I'm not even going to look there. I'm not even going to attend there. And as we've been talking each week, that's just another factor of spiritual bypassing, which is to ignore the realities of impermanence. Why? Why do people go, no, don't even need to deal with the body? In fact, the Buddha himself tried, by the way, through his ascetic practices. He tried, he stopped eating. He really was shutting down the sense doors. He went off for, I think, more than a couple years to abandon, in the hope of abandoning the body, mind, and it was not successful. He said, this is insufficient. Why?
Thought I had is that if we're rejecting and abandoning our own bodies, then we're incapable of showing up for other bodies.
That's right. That's right. And those needs, that hunger, that thirst, right, both in its real physiology, then we wouldn't attend to our children, would we? If we went, really, meh, what's it matter? Why feed them? Because it's all temporary anyway. I'm not joking, right? And to some extent, as a protective mechanism, we do that. We do hear about the levels of poverty, of hunger, of homelessness. And what do we do? What do you do? I don't know. So, right, we do it anyway, don't we? Because it would be completely overwhelming, completely devastating if we actually allowed the reality of it. And so we can really try to reject the body mind as its solution. We're not going to do that today. We're actually going to open. And at the same time that we're opening, we're going to open to the reality of these elements in existence everywhere, in everything, always. Right? It's reality everywhere, in everything, always. Right? It's a beautiful practice.
I mean, I have this notion that the reason why, we are born, is that we have there's something that we're meant to manifest.
Yes.
And so that would be, you get diverted from it, or
right.
So something that we're meant to fulfill.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yes, an assignment, one might say, an assignment in this human life, in this human body. Right? A certain assignment, a certain teaching, a certain wisdom, right? To be understood, to be known, really. Okay, any more that anybody wants to say about that? Do you get this idea? Yeah. And so the 5-element practice, though it is understood as a dissolution practice, and is actually the base practice for then the dissolving mind-body cemetery practices. By the way, it's the first practice that we do, the 5 elements, as we then disintegrate, dissolve, and shed those elements. We're not going to be working on that so much today, but I want you to know I will be working on it. We will be working on it. How do we hold it first, make contact with its right? Reality as experienced, both in you and then in others. We're going to hold on to that. And then we're going to see over time, we're going to be practicing, let's just dissolve a part of that and see what's left. Let's see what's really there beneath the form. How about it? Good? Okay, we're going to start right here. We're outside and it's lovely actually out here. But I'm going to be then asking the community that's here to be walking around or sitting, walking and then sitting a little bit. We'll do that in the middle for just a few minutes, and then we'll come back and finish the practice. Okay. I'm going to put these on. Still not sunny, but these little green eyes. And we're just going to take a moment to open to the 5 elements before ringing the bell. And see what you make contact with. And for me, just as I'm sitting here as an example, I can feel the really firmness of the rock and the earth beneath my feet. I can feel an essential stillness in space. There's not much breeze this morning. And so there is this available and pervading sense of still space. There is a warmth. I even have a little sense, see if you can make contact also with that little bit of dewiness in the morning air. The water element available there. And then every once in a while we get that little breeze, the air element. And just resting as the whole body rests. Let those 5 element contacts just swirl both around you and within you. And then we set the heart mind to practice for all beings. That this practice be a benefit. That it carry merit. And that it free us all. And so beginning with that felt sense of the earth element, this body itself, earth element, the skin, the muscle, the bone, feeling that sense of the weightedness of the earth element in the body. And with each out breath, letting the earth element of your own body make contact with the earth beneath you. Being held to Gaia, to Mother. Being invited to being embodied. This very body being held by the body of the earth, sometimes called the womb. Held like a precious child, but feeling into the felt sense of that form, that weight, without which you would be flying off into particles in space. A nice gathering, a constellation. Feeling into the felt sense in the feet. And then in the legs and hips. And feeling the contact points, those points of information, points of processes actually, informing you as you sit here, right through the earth element. And from the hips, feeling up the spine, the hard bone of the vertebra, surrounded by ribs and soft tissue, just making contact. Feeling the balance of the head and that thick skull. Perfectly balanced. And as we breathe in, breathing in through the front of the body as we do, making contact with that softer, fleshier front, still a part of the earth element. Soft skin. Sinew, muscle, all earth element. Now, the beauty of this body is such that you can feel the truth of this body, both in its solid form, its bone, as well as in those softened tissues, the muscles, the ligaments and tendons. You're just feeling into the whole body. The earth element within you. And then the earth element around you. solid, stable, as well as completely impermanent, completely ever-changing, insubstantial, nothing to hold on to. Not even this earth is something we can hold on to. We cannot take it for granted. It is also not permanent, not fixed, just like this body. And so as you're breathing in, see if you can breathe in and actually enjoy the experience of the body, the many sensations, the contact points. Gifted this precious present moment. Breathing in as completely as you can, feeling the earth element. And with the out breath then, following the out breath as completely as you can into that still point. And we're going to let that out breath be the dissolving, changing, ever altered body. Different now. Born again. And dissolving every breath. See if you can rest for just a light touch in the no body at the end of the out breath. Resting the earth element in no body. We use the eyes, the ears, the nose, the mouth, the body, and the mind that knows it as the 6 aggregates. But we do not cling to them. We hold the body in equanimity, both in its arrival, in its birthing, in its contact, and in its presence, in its changing. And in its dissolving. And let this earth element of you dissolve into the earth element around you. The ground, the trees, the plants, the bark, the stone. And in expanding beyond the earth element into the air element, different than space, air element is the breath, the wind, air in its movement. Air as a life source. The air around you nourishing you, the plants. The air within you bringing life. Both the in-breath and the out-breath, life-giving. With each out-breath, you nourish the trees and the plants. With each in-breath, they nourish you. Completely intra-connected. If you can make contact with that air element as it is within you and around you, and in the continuous exchange, feeling the breeze as it touches your hands, your face. The breath of the earth. Your own breath apart. beyond the earth element, beyond the air element is the element of the waters. You can even feel it in the air as it moistens your nostrils, as it moistens the skin. There are great bodies of water, minute particles. Water is everywhere in everything. 70-something% of you is water. Making contact with those sources of water, both around you and within you. Calling to mind bodies of water. Water you drink. Water you immerse yourself in. The water in the eyes, in the mouth. The liquid in the joints. The blood. Make contact with as many sources of water element as you can. The air, the trees, and you are filled with water. Expanding now to include the fire element. The fire element often identified as a sun fire element. Warmth, heat, energy. Even on a cool morning, see if you can also sense that warmth. Everything has its energy, even crystals, a certain form of warmth. Can you feel the warmth of the body as it radiates? Maybe call that an inner warmth. The energy used here for sitting. The warmth around you that is growing and nourishing all of these beautiful things in the garden, on the earth. And in you. Just imagining how that warmth and light, just in the last week, with the onset of summer, just reflecting on that over the last few days and how that warmth, how that sun, how that fire element has contributed. There's more energy, people are smiling more, the garden singing. Things are growing in and around you. We might even include the radiance of your own awakened heart mind. Emanating right through this mind body. This very being here, a form of energy, warmth. Or the warmth of love and connection. The warmth of a hand. The warmth of a fire. Feeling all the places within and around you where you can make contact with that fire element. The lightness and brightness, even in this morning, that invited my sunglasses, an aspect of the fire element. And all of these elements rest within the element of space. The space around you, the infinite space above you. The infinite space beneath you, filled with space. And the infinite space within you. Space between organs, space between muscles, space within muscles, space on the skin surface, the porous nature of the skin. the spaces within each orifice, the eyes, the ears, the mouth, the nose, the body. Vast space everywhere. Space between the leaves, space within the leaves. Within the body, between the bodies. But rather than be a divider, space itself is actually the holder of all elements. The space between the sounds. The space between the lips and the teeth. Space everywhere. And then we're just going to rest in that space for a moment, making sure we have well established that sense of space. And then we're going to take about 10 minutes to move this body around the garden. Really seeing if you can't first rest in space and then make contact with the other elements, the fire element, the energetic element, the warmth element, the water element, the air element, and the earth element. See if you can't touch each at least a couple times. I'm going to ring the bell to begin this garden walking practice. If you find a place where you decide you want to rest or stand or sit, please feel free to do so. We're going to be doing this for about 10 minutes, and then we'll be coming back to finish the practice. Resting in that space element to begin. If you ever feel like you get caught in a particular element, just rest there, create a little space, and then continue. I'll ring the bell to begin, and then I'll ring it again in about 10 minutes to call you back. If you're at home, you're going to be doing the same thing. See if you can't step outside for a few minutes. And whenever you're ready, you can begin. enjoy. You can go off anywhere in the garden, of course, the front, the back, the sides. And I'll ring the bell again in a few minutes. And so finding yourself back in your meditation posture. Resting once again within the 5 elements. And in the Buddhist tradition, there is a 6th element. And the 6th element is consciousness or awareness itself, holding all the other elements in recognition, in contact, in understanding, in insight, cultivating wisdom and love. And in the suttas, the 2 teachings are this. The first is recognizing the body as the body. Recognizing the breath as the breath. Recognizing sound as sound. And touch as touch. Taste as taste. And seeing as seeing. And then recognizing not only the sense doors, but the mind that knows them. And then recognizing within this mind that I am not this. That seeing is seeing, and breathing is breathing, and the body is the body. But I am not this. This is not me. This is not mine. And in this way, the practice is not to dissolve only, not only to dissolve the self, the one who believes that this thought is my thought, this pain is my pain, this story, this suffering, this difficulty is my difficulty. That's not its only purpose. The additional purpose is to recognize that the I in which you are making contact is larger. And the elements invite that expansion. The water within and the water around, all a part of the whole. The radiant energy within and the radiant energy around, all a part of the one. The mistake is to dissolve into no thing. And that's a usable practice as we are reducing the concept of the small self. It is good to give it up. But it does not move into nothing. It moves then into everything. And then we rest in the teachings of Thich Nhat Hanh. I am the tree and the tree is me. I am the earth and the earth is me. I am the waters and the waters are me. I am the sky and the sky is me. And we will rest for a few breaths in the enormity of that we. And may this practice be of benefit. And then we bow to it all. Don't we then? Then we bow to it all. So can you see where the mistakes are made? Where you make them? Where you get caught? Where we unhook even? Not me. And once you see it is understood like this, once you see that truth, once you recognize it, once you know it and can remember it, there can be no aggression then. There can be no cruelty then. There can be no grasping then. And there can be no rejecting then, because I am this and this is me then, right? But we have to dissolve rightly, don't we? Some little sense of that smaller me in order to cultivate that. The problem is, this was the annihilation that the Buddha first tried, by the way, which is get rid of this, and then maybe I can be free. If I could just dissolve this body. And he tried for a lot of years. And the consequence was, uh-oh, that's wrong, because it wasn't the whole. But there was some benefit to the not just this also. Doesn't mean we don't take care of it, though. Doesn't mean we don't nourish it. It doesn't mean we, right? But not just this small me. And then we expand that, don't we? Don't we? And so could you feel the difference between the dissolving self and then that larger self? Yes, you could. Well, like, oh yeah, right. Whew, good. Because really the understanding is this. There is not just dissolving either, right? It's not true either. It isn't true. There is no such thing as just dissolving. There is the dissolving and the arising. And it is continuous, isn't it? But we get hung up a little bit, don't we? We get a little hung up on the deathing. We get a little hung up on the dying, right? As like, oh, uh-oh, because we get a little hung up on the meing rather than the we-ing. Because then if you understood really, and we're working on this all the time, by the way, right? Because everybody's nodding. Yep, that's good. That's good. Till, right? Heart attack. Till, uh-oh, cancer. Till my kid is got the thing. Till my partners, right? And by the way, we're not trying to get out of that. That's not the practice either. There is no transcending the reality of our humanness. This is bullshit. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's annoying. Don't rest in the absolute, folks. You're right here. And you are not only this, right? And then how do we hold that big thing? We are not only this, and it hurts, right? In the whole thing. And then it's scary, and then it's hard. And then I don't know, and then I can feel the grip and the choke and if you were going to drown me right now, you could count on a struggle. Really, you could count on it. And that's not because it's broken. But there is something else to know, isn't it? There's something else to know in all of that element. And so then how do you use it? How do you use this very practice?
I think every time we touch that, there's a loosening of the grip. And each time you loosen it, it's a little bit easier.
Yeah.
The next time.
I think so.
When I'm meeting, and I can remember that, it allows me to just sort of let that go.
Yeah.
I think then moves into piggyback off that, a real sense of deep truth and path
Yes.
is where that, for me, is what kind of follows that. As soon as I actually caught myself getting caught a little bit, and like, this whole thing sucks.
Yep.
I just want to do the trick.
Yes. Yes.
Like, why is it?
Yeah.
Why is it complicated so much?
Yeah.
Demons come along, knock it all up.
Yep.
Now create all these problems. Maybe I like, what's the point of that?
Yep. Yep. That's right.
Back to dissolving.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we don't dissolve that easily. And like I said, I'm not sure I wouldn't put up a fight. But I don't think that's because we're broken. I think that's because we're also in a human body that by its nature has survival, well coded, doesn't it? Well coded in it. So that it's not unreasonable, is it? Right, to pay attention, as well as we practice then, we train also for that larger reality. We train for it. And then do you notice the rest that comes with that? Oh yeah, that's right. I could hear you all saying it. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, this is good. That's right. I'm not just in the dissolving. It is simply the dissolving of the small me. That's it. We don't have to kill anything off. Really, it's not useful. And remember, the Buddha tried it. It didn't work that well. He went, oops, mistake. This isn't good news. He did understand something, though, didn't he? He understood not to grip it, attend to it, but don't believe it, that this skin is all there is, that this thought is all there is, that this emotion is just mine. Remember what I always say, you are not having an original thought. Not one. Not one. You're not having an original emotion. Not one. And you get to claim the one you're having, don't you? Hurts like this, expanded like this, loving like this is how, as Brad just said and Greg just said, then I know you also as me. Then I know you, and I know you're, and then the Buddha said, and then you cannot aggress against anything. You couldn't, could you? You couldn't do it. You couldn't do what we're doing to the earth. You couldn't do it. You would understand, wouldn't you? You'd go, no, my job is to attend to this as well. My job is to attend to you as well, my neighbor as well, the stranger as well, right? Because what we, says Dan Siegel, we. Thomas Merton says, if we saw the truth, we would fall on the ground and kiss each other's feet. If we knew the truth of this very thing called intra-connection, you would worship each other, and then every tree and every plant, wouldn't you? You couldn't do otherwise. There would be no possibility. And so then I'm asking you to look at, what do you have to do to cut yourself off that much? Because we all do it. What do you do? Well, I get in my little house, on my little computer with my little task list, and I decide this is it. As long as I can make that happen, everything's good. At least I did my part, right? And we lose contact with the we, the bigger truth of intra-connection, which is why I believe you'd better off going to stand outside every single day first. Every single day. Stand outside. Cold day, hot day. Rainy day, sunny day. Right? And do the element practice. I am this. This is me. We. And then you go do this very same task list, right? You make the cookies and you make the call and you do. This is not the bad news, right? But you don't do it from the contracted self, right? Which is why we say practice first thing in the morning. For 1 minute, 3 breaths. Why? For that we, actually, which you cannot have. You forgot because you woke up in that bed next to that person, right? With those kids and that dog. And you went, that's it. I'm just trying to navigate that space. Yeah, don't we? We all do it, right? I'm not saying this with judgment. I'm saying this with bad habit, nature being understood. And now here we are in summer, right? We just happen to have that beautiful summer solstice. And so what reason are you going to come up with not to do it? Not to take, right? So go stand out there for at least 10 breaths. Make contact. Remember who you really are, says the Buddha. Remember who you really are. And then you do your tasks and you make your cookies but you're not lost anymore, right? you're found. And then you smile. And then everything you do becomes an extension of that mui. But I don't think it means you have to change your task list. I don't think that's the point at all. We mistake that too, don't we? Like really, if I could just go to Tahiti, then I could make contact with that. And I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true because there's, many people have meditated for 10 years, 20 years and longer and come down from that mountaintop and not been able to navigate life in the Mui at all. Chogyam Trungpa, Pema's teacher, was one of them. Brilliant. Brilliant. An addict to everything. Because it's not sufficient. All the sitting on the cushion, it's not sufficient, is it, for practice? You eventually have to get into the world and be there. And he just couldn't do it. He was a sexaholic, an alcoholic. He stole money. He did everything you could think he could do. He did, right? With a brilliant mind, by the way, and a deep understanding of the teachings. Now, how does that happen? You know how it happens, because I know same reason it happens for me, right? Which is, well, it's good on the cushion, or it's good for that minute. I got that tied up in the garden there. This is working out great. And then I got in the car and forgot. Don't we? We have to keep coming back, don't we? Again and again. And I believe if we start right, if you get it right from the start, and that means those first few breaths, really, I think we're setting ourselves up for a pretty good day. All right. So I'm going to ask everybody to commit to that. 10 to 20 breaths. I'm going to be doing a little prostration practice out here because my knees can now do it. I'm very excited. But it doesn't require that because you can bow without your knees, can't you? You can bow from the inside, even if the knees don't do it. Can't you? Yeah. Yes. Yep. If you don't have such a beautiful outside, well, you all, yeah. If you don't, so Lisa's saying, I happen to have a beautiful outside, and many of us here in San Diego have a beautiful outside. But what about those people who don't have a beautiful outside? Well, the definition of beautiful is an interesting thing for me. Isn't that an interesting thing, beautiful? Because what are you defining as beautiful? Because the 5 elements are, well, let me go to the 6 elements are everywhere. They're in the desert. They're in El Cajon. They're in the, right? They're in the projects in Chicago. Yeah, 5 elements happen to be everywhere. Don't they? The contact, your contact with that happens to be everywhere with everyone, right? And so then we can get caught, can't we? Which is it easier where it is also pleasant? It is true, because we like that. And we open a little more naturally, don't we? Like, right? The Botanic Gardens, you can go sit there going, not so easy in the alley behind 2nd Street. Probably. But we have to remember what's actually happening there. It is the, right? It is the, how do I put this? Contaminated mind of prejudice, of perception, of wanting that actually does that, right? So my yard looks like this. My neighbor's yard, you could go over there. It's just nothing but mayhem. It's gorgeous. Nasturtium are growing everywhere. He feeds every gopher in Leucadia. They come into my yard on a regular basis. Right, but no, right, the desert, the sands, the unit, right, that color palette, its own uniqueness, no less. Right. And I want to say be watchful of that preferencing mind. Because the 6 elements are available. And you are also this. Right? You are also this. You are that gorgeous tree there. That tree is almost 100 years old, I found out. I did not know that. Actually was there well before the Colonel planted it, who was in the Gone with the Wind. Yeah, he actually lived there. Yeah, it was there even before him. So that's pretty incredible. What? Almost 9 o'clock. So can we find the thing we don't like and open the 5 elements and the mind to that? Might be an interesting practice, right? Where is the air in that? Where's the space in that? We might do it also with a person when we're tending to judge or condemn or criticize or aggress, right? What about our we there also? And if you can make contact with yours, you can make contact with theirs. If you can't make contact with yours, there's no hope for making contact with theirs, which is why I want you to begin each day making contact, right? And then me and this, right? First, as a starter, me, and then all of this, and then see how it impacts your day. It's guaranteed because you have already made the move from the small me to the we. Let's practice that this week. We'll check in on it next week. Next week, I think, is like maybe July 1st. Does that seem right? Are we going into July? Yeah. Wowie, wow. Wow. So we will be here on the 1st. We will be here on the 8th. We will not be here on the 15th because I will have gone into silent retreat at Quest Haven, and we will not be here on the 22nd either, because I will still be in retreat at that time. If you don't know that you're welcome to come up and join, please talk to somebody, Carrie or Greg or me about that. There's Cindy too. You can always come up and practice silently. I will not be guiding or instructing in any way, and I will be sitting outside each day. I'm going to be in El Deseo again, I think, which is that 3rd left turn. And we will get a code. I'm not sure how to, can they just push the button if they don't have the code? Okay. The Quest Haven has a gate now. So if you don't have the code for some reason, if you push the button, you say, I'm here to sit with Diana. They know, and they know. So we'll talk more about that as we go along. Thank you, everyone. I think we're just past 9 o'clock. I appreciate you and your time. We could just gather ourselves in our little cocoon of Mui, the big, vast expanse of Mui. May we all be happy, free from suffering. May we have gratitude and joy and rest in equanimity. May we do so for ourselves and for all beings as we rest in that biggest version of me, that we. And may we do so today, and then may we do so every morning for those few breaths. as we begin our day. May we be filled with loving kindness. And may we be well. May we be peaceful and at ease. And may we, in them we, be happy. Thank you all so much for your presence and practice today. Thank you, everyone. Blessings to all. We're going to be heading over to check out the shower of blessings at St. Andrews. I'm very excited about that. We'll give a report on that. That's something we're going to be doing. Everybody take care. I'm going to explain that to you right here.